Hello, friends, and welcome to April's edition of our in-house community club session. My name is Jesse, and it's a pleasure to be joining the RISE team. This is going to be my first ever session where I will be the host, and then I have some people on the panel that are joining us. So they are going to be helping us understand how we can live below our means. I mean, everyone wants to build wealth. But when you're on your journey of building wealth, there's this argument about it's only the person who has had enough to eat that is going to invest. But it's also possible that many people who already have a lot of money, they run out of money before they run out of the month. So how do you balance it? How do we live below our means? So the people we have on the panel, I'm going to be introducing them one by one. I'm going to be calling them and I'll give them opportunity to just tell us one thing about themselves before we start the conversation. The conversation is going to give us an opportunity to hear from them and learn from them because they are all Nigerians and they know and feel the same struggle we all feel here in Nigeria. So first, I'm going to give Chima an opportunity to say one or two things, and then we'll go round. After Chima, can we meet you?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Really glad to be here. My name is Chimalume Atuchukwu. I'm a product manager at MTN Nigeria. What's interesting about me? Well, I am an avid saver. I'm always encouraging people to save, no matter how little you have. And I have a 2-year-old, and it's really my goal for her to be financially independent, by the time she's an adult. I just want her to be really comfortable by the time she's an adult. And I'm sure a lot of us also have those kinds of goals. So yes, I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to having a great discussion with everyone.
Thank you very much. Gossy, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. My name is Gossy. Good afternoon, everyone. Quite similar to Chima. I'm an avid RISE user. I preach RISE to everyone that I care about, and as much as possible, preach the culture of saving. And if you're saving in a denomination that will help people with value, that's what I go for. In my day-to-day, I'm a tech person who's found himself in management, and I kind of stride both sides on my day-to-day. At the moment, I work with BetKing.
Yeah, Gossy wears so many hats. Okay, now moving to Sani. Sani, please, pardon me.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here. Yes, so I'm Sani. I guess I'm a tech bro, right? In terms of finance and all of that, RISE, like I said, Eke was a big proponent of teaching me and helping me how to grow money. But RISE is a platform that I use, and I literally use my UK card for RISE. That's how much I believe in it. I'm willing to even invest in currency because I think it makes sense, and the returns and everything that I've gotten, and the community most importantly, and things that we've been able to learn, just like what we do right here, it's just so amazing. So yeah, happy to be here and hopefully share one or two things and learn a few things as well.
All right, thank you very much. And finally, the man that needs no introduction, Eke.
Hey, thanks, Jesse. My name is Eke. Most of you know me, and I'm just excited every time we get together like this because I get to learn a lot of things as we talk about finance from different perspectives. It's what I'm passionate about, if it's not this obvious. And I'm always excited. So about me, I've had the privilege to have experienced different parts of the world. And one thing that's consistent with everyone that I've known that is financially successful is that they've always been frugal without looking like they are denying themselves. So, and that's always an interesting balance that I found people strike. And I hope that we can get many more tips about how to do that ourselves individually and also as a community. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Now I'm going to start with the lady in the house. Eke spoke about being frugal, that's trying to live below our means. So Chima, for you, what does living below your means, what does it mean for you? And how do you live below your means?
Okay, thank you, Jesse. For me, living below your means, I mean, it's even self-explanatory. Whatever you have, whatever you get, at the end of a week, a month, a salary, a wage, whatever it is, you need to live in such a way that at the end, you have something that you can save, something you can put out, and something you can invest. How do I do that? I pay myself first. That's always my mantra. Like, sometimes you don't even know what these things are until you read them in a book somewhere and you realize, oh, that's what I've been doing since. But it's always been like that for me. Whenever I get anything, and like since secondary school, as far back as I remember, whenever I get any amount, a gift, salary, a wage, anything, it's about how much can I even bring out first and save before I even start talking about then whatever is remaining. I now distribute it among whatever my needs are. So yeah, for me, living below your means is first of all paying yourself first. Anything you get, a gift, a wage, anything, you bring out first of all what you need to save. Again, sometimes it's based on your goals, your saving goals, or based on something you want to use it to do later, but bring out something first, and then whatever you have remaining, try and find a way to distribute amongst your needs and just sort yourself out. But you need to do that first. Otherwise, if you say, let's wait until everything is done, I've finished, my expenses and whatever I mean, especially in Nigeria of today, it might be very difficult. So that's it for me.
All right, thank you very much. Gossy, I'm going to move to you. Now, there's a kind of car you like to drive, there's a kind of house you like to live, the kind of food you like to eat, and the kind of places you like to go to. Now, let's say right now you have the money to do all of that. So what stops you from doing it? Why do you have to live below your means? Why can't you just go out and do all those things because you have the money to do it?
First and foremost is it's not everything that you like that you pretty much get immediately. You can like something and it can be right to get it today or get it in 5 years or get it at some other time, right? So always putting functionality over everything else. So whatever you have at the moment, does it suffice? Does it work? Yes. So maybe you don't need that thing until maybe it becomes necessary. But the way I think about it is, if you buy that car that you want, can you buy 5 more of it at the same time, whatever it's left after you buy it? So you might afford to be able to buy 1, but can you buy 5 and still have enough to buy another 5? If the answer is no, then perhaps in one, and that's the way I think about it. If the answer is no, then it doesn't make any sense to get that car. If you get that, like you say, food you like, if you get it now, will you be able to get it tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after, so consistently till next payday? If the answer is no, then maybe that's not your means. So I guess it's first of all defining what your means is, and after you've defined what your means is, you can now figure out how to live below it. Where you're going to make some cutbacks, and there are also the days that are once or twice in a month or something that you can treat yourself to the things that you like. And for many people, it could be once a year they treat themselves to that the vacation that they want, or the trip that they want to go on, once or twice a year, based on their own means. So you have to sort of define what your means is. So, and that's generally a very good starting point. But if you're unable to continually afford that means, then you're probably living above your means.
Thank you very much. Sani, let me come to you. Now, if you have some extra left because you're living below your means, What is the purpose? Someone can just die tomorrow. Why not just spend the money today? Why must you live below your means?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. And I think it's there is a safety that I guess having like extra money saved up. There's a safety mentally and emotion that it gives you because what you're doing then is plan long term. If let's say I earn 1 million naira and it costs me maybe 300,000 naira to live, and I have 700,000 naira left every other month, that's 700,000 naira that I can plan long term. I can say, okay, hey, I can invest this in a long term, thing or stuff, and it gives you the people that have money left over that they've saved. The confidence that they work with in day to day life is very different because you can go through life knowing that for the most part, if you're responsible, you're going to be fine, and that really the mental bandwidth that gives you because you can go into a room and somebody's pitching a pay stack idea. And if that was you that would just spend the whole 1 million naira, you don't have money to actually invest in that pay stack idea. But now, hey, okay, you know what? I've got the 700,000 naira now. I mean, I wish I could invest 700,000 naira in pay stack, and that's what it was needed. Not the case, but there's just that confidence it gives you to emotionally, physically, everything. Like, yo, you know that you you're going to be okay for the most part. I think that's one thing that I really, really, really like about just holding up, letting that money work for you, or saving it for an emergency or anything. Like you said, anyone can die tomorrow, but yeah, you can also not die but lose a limb, and then you can't work for like a year. How that money will come like in hand if you actually have it.
I like that. I like that. It gives someone control. It gives you control. It gives you a measure of freedom. You're confident. You're not always looking behind yourself, over your shoulder, that when something happens and then you don't know where to turn to. I like that. But there are quite a number of people who, if you ask them to live below their means, it's a struggle. It's going to be a challenge for them to be able to do it because life is hard and things are difficult. Now, Eke, I'm coming to you. Now, what do you think such people who are struggling to find what to cut in their expenses to be able to live below their means, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, thanks for that question. This is a very real challenge, right? And even I have been there. So there are some times when you're not making enough money, and therefore it's harder for you to figure out how to save consistently. But the two things I think about when you find yourself in that scenario, and I'm leveraging my own direct experience, is first is if you're making some kind of income at all, imagine how you lived when you were making none, and understand that there's always some room, might not be a lot, but there's always some room to put something aside, right? So if you started out investing, say, or saving like 1,000 naira, right? And in the short term, you would know that I know I need this money. I know I need all the things that I like, everything in my paycheck. I need it for something, but you can always find 1,000 naira that you are not going to need for something super urgent, right? Even if it comes at a cost of saying no to one or two things in your life, you can squeeze out that amount, but just try to remain consistent with it. Because what happens is once you start being consistent, you realize after a while that you don't miss that 1,000 that you take out of your pay. Um, and then you increase it slightly again. Another thing that it does is that it starts making you more conscious about how you spend, because once you're consistently saying, well, I have to put away this 1,000, whatever is left, and 1,000 could be any amount, but whatever is left, you start psychologically, you start paying more attention to what you spend it on, which coincidentally starts making you think relatively clearly about where to earn extra income from. Because now you understand, oh, I make this amount every month. I'm able to live on this. But if I do A, B, C, or D, I'll earn this extra 5K or 10K, right? And I'll put that towards my investments and try to continue living. So there's this back and forth that happens. But as you do that, you gradually build that habit, and also it kind of helps you understand where to put your focus on in terms of earning more. So those are the two. The way I think about it is, one, start practicing that discipline, but two, find opportunities to earn more income, right? Because that discipline will be useful to you no matter the level where you start. And once you start, it's going to help you understand or find opportunities to make more income. And secondly, whatever little that you start with, there's a story that I found super interesting. And it happened, someone told me the story, and it was her experience. She was working and making 30K a month in Lagos, which is not a lot of money, but she managed to somehow find 10K to put away every month. And there was a lot of ways that she did that. Should take a bus, get to a certain point and walk. Should not go out on the weekends because she tend to like spend. So a lot of things that she did, but then she kept putting that money away for a year, and she got about 120,000, which she used to start a small kiosk that started supplementing her income. And she did this again consistently for 5 years. And then she told me, "Oh, this is what I make now." And she's making like more than 10 times what she started out with. So my own experience mirrors that. But it's not, I know it's not easy, but it's doable. I think that's the summary of it. It is doable. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes some sacrifice, but it's worth it because it's one of the best ways to take yourself from "I'm not earning enough" to "now I think I'm doing well for myself." So you still need to practice that discipline of spending less than whatever it is you make, no matter how small. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Eke. I get a summary from what you said. It boils down to cultivating the habit. If you're earning very little, if you have the habit already, once you increase your income, perhaps you get a better job, you get a raise at work, or you have an extra income from a side hustle, or someone dashes you some huge amount of money, or you come by an inheritance, it's easier for you to maintain that habit because you have already learned it. So habits formed can be an advantage and can be a disadvantage. Thank you very much. That's one good point that I am taking from there. But I want to throw this question open to all of us. Now, in trying to live beyond your means, it means that you must have cultivated a particular habit. So what's the routine like? Is it like you have a budget? Is it like you write it somewhere? Is it mental? Do you have a percentage? How do you know that you're living beyond your means? Because I know that some of us, even when we have a salary, there are times maybe beginning of the year, we get a bonus, or maybe we earn an extra income, or your investment yields more than what you expect. So do you have a budget? Do you have a system? How do you do it? Let me start with Gossy.
Okay, thanks, Jesse. Just like if you're running a business, if you're running your life as well, you need a budget, right? So you have to, whether it's a monthly budget, if you look at how your entire year is gonna go, and look at how your months goes, you can build out a budget for yourself. You can say, this is how much I'm earning, this is how much I'm willing to spend on food, this is how much transportation is gonna cost me because I have to keep going to work, this is how much I'm putting aside for black tax, this is how much I'm putting aside for entertainment, this is how much I'm putting aside for relaxation, for tithes, for this, for that. And you have to build out what your budget is. And also in there, you decide this is how much I'm going to save from what my standard earning is. So you already know what your standard earning is. If you have a job that pays you a standard earning every month, a fixed earning every month, right? So maybe not in the cyclic ones, maybe if you're doing a job that pays you based on hours or other things. But if you have a fixed income that you earn every month, you know what's coming in, so you can plan your life along that. Whether you're setting aside some money for rent, that builds up. Well, in Nigeria, we pay rents in advance yearly. In some parts of the country 2 years in advance. So you can also say, this is how much I'm putting aside. when all of that is done and you have how much you're going to save, and you put everything in its buckets, you already know what your budget is. And as you're tracking down, daily, at the end of every day, are you off by X amount? Are you off by this amount on maybe feeding or transportation, because transportation costs can go up and all of that. So you sort of have to have your budget based on what you earn and based on what maybe your savings goal is. So if you have a savings goal, you can set out that savings goal and know that every month you contribute X% from your earning towards that savings goal, and then how much for feeding and all of that. That will help you to make to a large extent determine how much you spend on things. So it doesn't even affect it after a certain income level, I believe. What you're going to eat will still remain the same. It's not going to dramatically increase. Your quality of life doesn't drastically increase over a period of time. So you will perhaps see yourself increasing your savings budget over time, and that's how it's supposed to be. Like I think Eke mentioned it a little bit. If you're building up your, maybe Eke mentioned it or somebody else, but if you're building up your earnings, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to spend a lot more. Your savings perhaps should be what increases. So yeah, a budget is really needed. At the end of every day, I use an app called Spendy. At the end of every day, you put up everything you've spent into the app, and you see whether you're off or not off, and it allows you to cut back, in the subsequent days or towards the end of the month. And as much as possible, it requires discipline. Things are pretty tough, so you might have things that will come up that will have more demand on your earnings. So yeah, so you try as much as possible to stay within the limits, and also put aside some money for emergency. So have like an emergency fund, no matter how little it is. So whether it's 500 or 1,000 or 10,000, it doesn't matter, but at least have that, because if you're able to save on 10,000 naira, you'll be able to save on 100,000. You'll be able to save on a million, because as the income increases, cost of living also increases, and things just generally get more expensive as well, and you tend to spend more. So if you have not learned to save on little, it'll be very difficult to also save as income increases.
Man, you are hardcore, man. You have an app to track your expenses. I need to come to it for a master class from you. But let me go to Chima. Do you go to that detail as well? Do you write things down in a notebook when you're doing your budget? Is yours mental? How do you go about it? And just let us know.
Okay, thank you for the question, Jesse. I would go two routes because I'm a human. I'm one person, then I'm also married. So as a person, really, just for me, when I never use the budgeting app, or I still don't use. Usually I know what amount you have to spend every month. For example, as a person, I think it's usually around charity budget and data and stuff, to spend every month. That's what I know I would spend a month. So I kind of bring that out, and usually I work within that, maybe extra. What do you call these things now? Just you have like extra just in case, maybe 5 or 10K extra. Personally, that's what I do. And it's always worked for me since I was a child. Like it's always been like that for me. And maybe because maybe I was born like that, I don't know, but I've never really had a problem with saving, and not budgeting. But as a married person, we in my marriage, we contribute, like we kind of pull funds together that we spend every month. And for that, we have it's like an Excel sheet, really. It's just an Excel sheet online on OneDrive that we kind of put in every time we make expenses, and then we track. It's mainly because, of course, the funds come from different places. So you want to know, who's bringing what, when, and, just what are we spending on. Like, food budget has just been, and you see it every month, it's kind of just increasing, so again, it's just to even see where what is going. So yeah, I personally, as a person, I never really had one, because all I just do is I say I'm going to spend 10,000 this month, even if die. If you want to die, you will die there, And I just try to stick to that. But as a married person, and we track our funds to like see, okay, this is going here, this is going here, or we're almost, we're close to overshooting this, but then we have to like cut down on this, and maybe next month we'll make that expenditure, because like Gossy said, some unexpected things come up. Maybe a relative died and you need to send stuff or see them, or somebody needs something, those things come up. Yeah. So and also just to add with this, to some of the things that also help us with this is also like having health insurances for the parents, so that those kind of big, huge expenses don't come up like that. So they have health insurance, so it doesn't come up, at least in that case. So yeah, I hope I answered the question. I kind of.
Yes, you did. You personalized it, and I like that, because I don't think it's the same for everyone. But what matters is for us to have a system that works with our own personal situation. Either you're single, you're married, the kind of place you live, and the like. Now I want to go to a point. It's possible that, let's say there are two people, person A and person B. Let's say person A is earning 100,000 and person B is earning, say, 500,000. And they both struggle to cut down on their expenses. Sani, what do you think might be the problem? Because it's possible for someone that is earning 100,000 to struggle to find where to cut. It's also possible for someone who is earning 500,000 naira to still struggle to find where to cut. What do you think might be the problem, and what will be your suggestion?
I think is whenever you say people are struggling to cut down cost, and you juxtapose to the scenario, one person earning money, correct? I think you said how much? 500,000, correct?
500,000, yes. Yes, I said 500,000.
500,000, and the other person is earning how much again?
100,000.
Exactly, 100,000. So the most important thing is really about it. I think it starts from a place of habits, right? Like you can actually save no matter how little you earn, how much you earn. Whether you should or you should not save is a different question. So it's mostly a habit thing. So where you feel maybe the person earning 500K is actually trying to live in a 300K house, whatever, live a 500K lifestyle, basically. You shouldn't. Like the whole idea is you should do what is required for you to actually really survive, and like, what is necessary for you to, the basic thing, eat, what's it called? Pay rent and everything. Maybe that flat you're living in is actually your life does not support it. Yes, you're earning 500K. Maybe getting a place that costs 7 million a year, 4 million, 3 million a year. It's like it doesn't support your lifestyle, or get a roommate. But I think that's the harder thing, where people are not willing to make those, I don't want to call them sacrifices, because if you're earning 500K a month and you're living in, let's say, a million naira a year house, that's not a sacrifice. That's you really, that's you living within what your finances dictate, versus if you were doing it like in a $4 or $5 million place. So I think it's the habit part, and then also there's different people on the insecurities. People want to prove to other people actually they don't like that they're living a lifestyle they can't afford. There is that. I think when you just make it a personal thing where, hey, what's best for me? What do I actually want for my own life? Okay, I want financial security. How can I get there? Okay, these things, this place I'm living at, or whatever. It's not, then you can actually work on the habits. But it doesn't matter doesn't matter how much you earn. The habit is off. You could be 100 million and you feel the need to live 100 million lifestyle. I can give you an example. I'm giving myself maybe 3 pay rises within the past 5 years. Now, there's only one thing in my life that's actually improved in terms of like increase in cost. It's that I moved to a new apartment sometimes like 2 years ago. And the only reason I did that is because I needed a bigger space to actually set up a studio so that I could do my podcast and that. But I was very far on my other plan. And even then I had to do like a PowerPoint, bills, everything, because but how much I pay for food and all that. everything has stayed the same, even though I've almost doubled my net income. And because I've gotten used to that discipline and that habit. So even if I triple my income today, nothing really changes. Nothing really changes. And that's the thing that a lot of people struggle with. I think that's the root of it all, is the fact that people are trying to live a lifestyle that their finances actually does not dictate. And I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. And I think I completely agree with you. And I'm sure most of our audience will agree with you as well. When someone tries to live a particular lifestyle for the gram, you want to live a lifestyle so that you can have something beautiful that you can post on Instagram. But if it is not what you're earning, whether salary or side also can afford, can feel, then something is going to suffer. Cutting one's, living below one's means becomes a lot difficult. Now, there's something we call, thank you, Sonny, there's something we call lifestyle inflation. You have recently got a raise and it has given you more room to live a larger life. Considering the topic we are talking about, living below your means, AK, I'm coming to you now. How can we, like maybe before I used to use a 21-inch TV that is like a tube, and now I'm earning more because they've increased my salary, and I want a smart TV that is 52 inches. That's lifestyle inflation. So how can we deal with that so that we can be able to live below our means? Yeah, okay.
I think the first thing I'll say with a scenario like that is going back to what Gossy said at the beginning, which is that it does not make sense for you to want to get everything you want today, right? Some things you need to defer for later. Some things you have to take your time and build towards. And then if you can't purchase something multiple times, then you can't really afford it. So that answers that question very well. Then what I'll add to that is when it comes to financial success, it's not, I think our culture tends to promote the idea that financial success is always like accidental, right? It's always it's always a circumstance that something just happens and then you're just blessed and then that's how you get financially successful. Meanwhile, people who have taken time to actually understand some of the principles behind financial success will tell you that there is a pattern to it. There are certain things that you have to do, certain ways that you have to live. And one of those ways is to always understand that you are not only living for the present moment, you're living for both today and your future, right? And so you have to account for whatever income you have today. You need to account for how to spread that income throughout your lifetime. And if you are disciplined with it, you know that, oh, just because I'm making more money today does not mean that um, what about tomorrow? What about when I no longer have to work? What about the years that I would not have any income? So your life is going to have those moments up and down. And then at some point, you're going to retire and have like a lot of time when you don't have active income. And so what are you going to do when those moments come up? So the best thing to do is you take advantage of the fact that money grows to start putting as much of it away as you can so that as it grows, but it's like a tree. By the time you get to the point where you need it, there is something for you to reap to cover those points where your income is not going to be what it is today. So if you have that mindset in the back of your head, when you have additional income today, you have to understand that, hey, this money does not have to change my life right now. I can still live the way I'm living today and put more of this money towards the future. The last thing I'm also going to say when it comes to being able to avoid lifestyle creep or increasing your lifestyle as your budget increases. Some of it is at some level, it's inevitable. You want to have certain level of comfort. You want to live in a certain space. Sometimes it's security. Sometimes it's just having more things at your disposal. So you will improve your life as long as the improvement does not take away every complete income gap. So let's say I get an increase of 20,000. I'm okay spending 5,000 out of that in increasing my comfort today, and then spend the rest putting it into my future so that it can supplement my income in the future. So that's how I think about that.
Wow, thank you so much. I was just saying, word at the background. Why? Because something I got from what you just said now is it's very important for us to zoom out into the future. Let's not just think about the present. Zooming out into the future simply means we're putting aside some of the money we are saving from living below our means towards an investment bucket that multiplies it several times so that in the future we can live large. Like in my own case, I'd like to buy a Tesla with that kind of money in the future. So now I can drive a smaller car, maybe a pencil light or a Corolla. Even if the last time I went to Lekki, I went to Ikoyi, just because my car was very small, they didn't allow me to park. They asked me to go and park very far. When people came in with their Mercedes Benz and their Land Rover, they allowed them to go inside. I felt ashamed, but it did not reduce the amount of money in my bank account. So, yeah, I know many people can relate with that. Now, we have questions from the audience. So if you're listening and you're enjoying us so far, we are 40 minutes gone. Please use the question and answer to be able to ask your question. I'm going to be going there to read some of the questions there now and ask our panelists so that they can share their feedback to your questions. Now, one question I'm seeing here is, I earn 58,000 a month as a saving corper, that's NYSC, with a couple of debts to settle. Family asking for some support, and I have to feed and pick up bills at the same time. How do I save and invest in this kind of situation? Let me ask the question again. I earn 58,000 a month as a saving corper with a couple of debts to settle. Family asking for some support, and I have to feed and pick up bills at the same time. How do I save and invest in this kind of situation? So who wants to take this question from the audience?
Okay.
All right, Gossy, go ahead.
Okay. I think the first thing to keep in mind is you can't spend money that you do not have, right? So if you're earning a certain amount and you have some debts to pay off, and maybe you can go speak to the people who you have those debts with to say, hey, this is how much I earn. If you can give me this number of months, every month I can contribute this amount to paying off the debts. They can see that you're not earning more, and you're also working to maybe earn some other extra income from the side or elsewhere. You're able to do that. You can also set aside, like I mentioned earlier, if you have done your budget and put aside the money to use and give gifts to family or friends or anybody around you. You also have that. You also need to spend money on yourself for feeding, personal care, transportation to work, and all of that. Once you have already put the money in the buckets, if you've given out the amounts that you expect yourself to give out in a month, if you don't have that money, you can't spend it. Even though you might have the cash, but it's different from having the money. So because that cash has been budgeted for other things, so you can't spend what you don't have. Buckets. Put your money in buckets. And only spend within those limits. And if you have debts, go to the people you have those debts with, show commitment, pay back some amount every month from what you're earning, and the debt reduces as much as possible. Who knows, maybe you can even get some debt forgiveness because you're showing that you're working towards it. So that's what I think.
Wow, that's a good one. Chima, Sani, Eke, do you have something to say about that?
I have a slightly different, I guess, angle that I will attack this particular. The first question is, for me, whenever I see someone, obviously they're I'll say they're in a bit of a pit, 58K is money, but the debt part and the fact that you have to support people. The question I ask is, how did you get yourself in this particular position first? Now, why am I asking? That's not very easy. It's not very straightforward, because it could just be, the reason why I ask that is to ensure that those habits, you're addressing those habits before you even proceed. Because if the habit that got you to a place where you're in debt and you're trying to solve that debt, that habit has not been addressed. Let's say you went and you bought a car that was whatever, or you tried to buy a phone that you couldn't afford. If you still have that habit, that's the more dangerous thing that needs to be addressed. So that's the first thing, is to really sort of like diagnose, how did we get here, and understand, okay, if it's just a case of, all right, debt being debt, that kind of thing, and all of that. And also, when we come to the whole paying for people, we all have, as Africans, the black tax system. But there's something someone told me recently. Said a lot of people that you pay black tax to, they were surviving before you decided to pay them black tax. And this is not me giving people license to not take care of the people that they care about, but I'm saying be very, I call it enlightened self-interest. You can only help people if you've helped yourself to the best of your ability. You help people when you are at your best. If you're not at your best, you cannot help anyone to the best of your ability as well, for them to be their best. So diagnose those habits, ensure that you're addressing the habits that, if they were negative habits that got you to this place, and then you can go on and, like, what just Gossy said, start really looking for ways to, if you can't spend money you don't have, XYZ, and then really doing that. So attacking it from a much earlier triage.
All right, thank you very much. Let me see what question I can still take here. Okay, someone said, is it wise to save while still paying off a loan, or is it wiser to pay off the loan totally and then begin saving? I think Gossy already answered this. You can go ahead and have a commitment to the person you're owing and have a plan, and maybe they might even forgive you your debt, and then you can start investing along the line. Someone says, hello, I tend to save more when I was single, though it was not much. Now I am married and spouse expects you to spend even if it is not available. How do you convince your spouse that you have to invest and safeguard the future? Chima, I want to send this one to your own side.
When I saw the question, I figured you would ask me to answer it. Okay. I think it's, I don't know if you're male or female, but I think it's this is a normal situation for most males and even females, especially if you were living with a family member before, so you were not spending so much before and then you got married. So it happens, and even especially when a child now comes or something, then even expenses now increase more. The thing with it is, no matter what, you guys, you have to have that conversation. Okay, you have to have that conversation because it's important, no matter what, that you have something that you save every month. So I don't know if your spouse works. If you both work, it would be really great, because again, that's even a bigger plus. Then you have to start bringing out something. I think that conversation needs to be had, because it happens a lot that sometimes you're like, you married somebody who it looks like you guys have very different views on finances. That conversation needs to be had. You need to sit the person down and let them know. I think when you make these things realistic, so for example, what Eke had mentioned about, see, we're whatever age, 30, 35, 28, in another XXX years, we will actually not have it. Like, we won't be working because we'll be tired or retired or something. Or we could actually lose our jobs, or something can happen. There is this, if life is so uncertain. So we cannot, as a matter of, it's just not possible for us to be spending everything all the time. So that conversation needs to be had. You need to, convince the person or sit down and discuss it with the person. Just make it as realistic as possible and try to have that. Maybe you start with the budgeting so that you see, oh, okay, we're spending XX here, we're spending XX. Does it even make sense for us spending this amount? How much are we saving per month? If you don't agree, if you don't have those conversations and sit down and agree and have those conversations, I'm not saying that it's at the end, like at the beginning, oh, it's going to be the person will just agree and see everything. It's not going, it might not happen like that immediately. But you need to, keep having those conversations, let them understand the importance of saving. I know it's not everybody that is like that. Even those who earn millions, there's still some people who are not very good savers. So you need to learn, you need to show and teach and convince and discuss, because it's important that at some point you start to agree and live that kind of life, live like a more frugal life. It's, in fact, I think it's even more important in Nigeria than anywhere else, where there's just a lot of uncertainties. You don't know what will happen tomorrow. So that's my own personal contribution to it, that you guys need to agree, you need to discuss it. It can't just be, oh, they said whatever, and they'll be like, my spouse is always like this. It's not going to work. People need to agree.
Thank you very much. Now we're about to come to an end. But before we wrap it up completely, I want to appreciate our panelists, Gossy, Chima, Eke, and Sani. You guys have been doing an incredible job. Now, for the last question that Chima answered, I also want to say that invite your spouse to join the Rise Investment Club on Telegram. Invite them to sessions like this. It helps as well. When they see people like themselves making these moves and hear them share, and then they can ask questions, because what you understand is easier for you to live by that. Before we wrap it up, there's one question I want to ask around. The question is, when you live below your means, cutting your expenses, living a frugal lifestyle, and not letting lifestyle creep up on you with lifestyle inflation, what has been the biggest benefit to you as a person? So let's start with Eke.
So I think the biggest benefit is there's a level of psychological safety that allows you to make decisions that are more optimal, right? So when you know, for instance, you have 6 months of income, 6 months of your living expenses put away somewhere, it allows you to, for instance, to quit a job to take a 3-month course that will help you get a better opportunity. It's one of the things that allowed me to quit my job when I started our first business, and it was just getting too much for me to do all of them at the same time. So it allows you some flexibility. You are not chained to your job because if this income does not come in at the end of the month, what am I going to do? The second benefit is that it has contributed to improving my own financial situation, because when opportunities come for you to invest and you don't have the means to, then that opportunity will pass you by. So those are the two main benefits that I've gotten. I've had the opportunity to take advantage of, like, investments or start other things, and also the ability to look up from my job and look at, okay, what else can I do that will improve my life? Because that if you don't have something to fall back on, it's very, very, very difficult to do that.
Well, thanks. Now let's move to Sani. So the question is, what has been the largest the benefit to you when you live below your expenses?
Yeah. I kind of echo a lot of what it is. I'm a big fan of that 6 months. What's it called? And
I actually did that very late in my own sort of like career or my own life, where I was already invested before I even said Infodara. Is as someone that I'm always on the move. There is that confidence, man. It's beyond. Like I know that, okay, like exactly opportunities that come. I can think about opportunities clearly. Hey, this contract, this job, do I want to take it? Can I demand more money? Oh no, I want more money. I want less money. Or I want to work remotely. I can. Let me just give it. It gives you like a positive arrogance, right? Because now you can afford to basically say, hey, I know where I'm at, and if you're not gonna give me what I want, that kind of thing. So it really does, like, it does wonders for your mental psyche, but also philanthropically as well. It's amazing, and I'm someone that loves to give back to communities and everything. That's one reason why I travel around the world, and I can go out and I can see, okay, maybe somebody needs a little bit of a leg up, or maybe I want to organize an event, or I want to do something here. Now I can easily go out of pocket because I know that I've got a staff saved up for 6 months at least. I've got these amount of stock, and AK is helping me become richer with RiseVest money. So I'm like, I'm good. Like I can actually say, hey, how can I then extend that, what I call a license of interest? Now, how can I even extend that to other people to make them get better? I can afford to say, hey, I want to gift out X amount of RiseVest gift cards because I've actually done, I've saved. Now I have so much left over that what? I want to make someone's day. I want to make someone get to the position that I'm at, or I've been lucky to have arrived at, that kind of thing. So yeah, it opens up a lot of doors.
Thank you very well. Thank you very much, Sani. Now, Gossy, over to you. When you cut your expenses, when you live below your means, what has been the greatest highlight for you, the benefit to you?
I think everything that's been said already, like you're able to pursue, for me, I'm able to pursue more happiness. I'm able to focus on the things that make me happy. I don't take up any jobs. I don't take up any positions. I don't take up anything that's that won't give me happiness. Like I'm not doing anything because I need to do it. I do things more now because I want to, because I'm going to enjoy doing it. And that could be from a job, or I'm able to give maybe because I want to, because I'm happy to do it, not because I need to or anything. So everything just comes from a place of happiness and having more room. And most importantly, like Eke mentioned, it gives you a lot of confidence. You can walk into a store and you'll not be walking so carefully, so you don't mistakenly break a glass on the table and you're worried about how you're going to pay for it. Like you can,
That's such a good one.
you can be better composed and have confidence in yourself and in places that you are. And again, by living within your means, you're not going to go into a store where if you break something, you can't afford it. By living within your means, you're already in stores that you can afford the things that are inside. So you just are living in a much more happy place, and you just do things because you love them and you care about the things you want to do.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Now, finally, Chima, has living below your means helped your financial journey in any way?
Surely no. I mean, how do I even answer this thing? So I am not I'm not a business owner, I'm not a co-founder and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of, I've kind of, honestly, for most of my life lived on salaries. Probably not something to be proud of, but that's what it is. And it's been mostly everything I have saved up, that I've invested and have, returned stuff that I've also used to invest more and, keep like increasing my net worth. So yes, being financially prudent has really, really helped. Last year, even though with everything that happened, it was kind of a blessing in disguise because they're working from home. I've been working from home since then, cut down on a lot of expenses, and on a normal day I wasn't very prudent. I would have really used it for other things, but instead of money for transport and the rest, kind of plowed it into, again, savings and investments. So that has really helped to really skyrocket, or well, not skyrocket, we are not there yet, but it's really, really helped on my financial journey, because honestly, if I didn't have anything saved, if I didn't have, used to save stuff like from my salary and making sure it's a particular percentage and never going beyond that. And even when I get extra gifts, just being that prudent, that I beg everything, bonus to give to everything, goes into the savings, then where would we be? I always say, I think I used to tell a lot of people that, gosh, my daughter has the girl has quite some money. And it's really everything she's been given, every single gift she's ever gotten, I have invested for her. So it's what it is. And, without that habit of saving and investing, surely I won't be here, even literally where I am. So.
That's awesome. I'm not sure if we lost.
Sorry, I got kicked out at some point. I'm back now.
All right. I think one of the things I just wanted to say when Chima, from your response is, believe it or not, learning this discipline, it just dawned on me that it makes you a better parent, because you just mentioned that all the money that your kid ever received, you've put it together in an investment for her. And that's something that, one, most people might take for granted. But imagine, just put yourself in the shoes of Chima's kid, and then imagine that all the money that you got before, by the time you get to 18 years old, and your parent, your dad or your mom is saying, hey, here's all this money that you were getting as a kid, and we've put it into so and so place for you, and it's even grown over the years. That's a massive leg up, and that's something that I could not have predicted coming into this call. But yeah, it does even affect your own children as well. That's incredible.
Thank you so much. Every one of you, you've been very awesome. I've learned more than one thing from you guys that I'm going to apply. And I'm sure members of the audience who are listening have equally benefited. Now, this is brought to you by RiseVest. RiseVest is helping you save and invest and manage your money more efficiently. When you live below your means, you're going to have a lot more money to put aside into RiseVest. And when you do, RiseVest is a professional asset management company where when you put your money, investing it with us, you invest with peace of mind. You don't have to worry about the price of stocks going up and down because professional handles that. Just invest and then you let us take care of all the stress for you. You can play with your kids, you can play with your husband, you can be at home, you can go to Owambe, you can do all you can do. So RiseVest is helping you invest in US denominated assets and giving you return that are safe without exposing your fund to unnecessary risk. So to find out more, you can join our Instagram community by looking through the link that we've shared in the community. And the recorded version of this call is also going to be made available as well. So if you have extra, you know what to do with it. And of course, in concluding, saving and investing and living beyond your means doesn't mean you can't flex. As for me, and I know many of the panelists, I have a monthly flex budget. Like after this call, I'm going to flex with my friends. It's my monthly flex budget. Because I have a budget for it, I can flex. I have the amount, I save. The month I don't flex, I save the money. So in the future, we'll have something we can depend on. We have freedom, we have more peace of mind, and we have control over our lives. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have any final, we've run over our time by 3 minutes. And I want to say thank you so much, Gossy. Thank you, Chima. Thank you, Sani. Thank you, Eke, for joining us in this meeting. And we hope when we call you next time, you're going to join us. Thank you so much. And I wish everyone a very good afternoon.
Thanks, Jesse. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Merci, merci.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. You guys are amazing. Great questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
By the way, the recording for this will be on our Telegram group and also on our YouTube channel. So we're going to share those. If you're not already on the Telegram group, there's a link to it that we shared on the chat box. Please join us or go to our website, rise.capital, and you see a link to the investment club and join in. We do things like this several times a week. And at once a month, we have like a call like this with guests and all of that. So it's super amazing. Please join us here. Thanks. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Hold on, okay.
Sure.
Chima was saying something. She said if we could have the meeting for a while, that she would love to answer the question in the Q&A.
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions there. Sorry. Oh,
Sure, please.
Okay.
One comment, save your money in a currency that does not blink and shake.
Yes.
Amen.
So I'm telling you all, listen, if you put 20% of your monthly income, put it away in dollars, do that consistently for 5 years. If you're not in a materially different economic space completely, I don't know, come and meet me or whatever you say I should do, I'll do it. Like if you can save 20%, put it into Rise, just automate it every single month. Because every time I run the numbers, I'm like, it's a massive leap, and putting your money in a currency that is not, I'm not going to mention the currency name, but it's not holding its value, takes away so much of your potential results financially. So making that switch, just that one switch, that Rise allows you to do into a currency that doesn't blink or shake. Stick with it for 5 years. And if you're not well off compared to where you would have been, come and tell me to do frog jump, I'll do it.
I'd love to see Eke do a frog jump, so please, people, do.
Okay, so Chima, you still want to take another one? Let me see.
Yeah, please.
I don't think I can, from here, I can. Okay, I think you've answered it by typing. Someone said I earned 77,000 gross, blah, blah, blah. National diploma. I also have a kid. My transport is so. How do I encourage saving in this situation? Do you want to take it live? You typed the answer already.
Yeah, I don't know if the person is still in the call anyway, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, but if you answer it and it's recorded, the person can play it over and hear the answer.
Oh, okay. Answered. What did I write? The one who said 77K and they used 24K for work, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, that's the one.
I was saying they should just first of all, they're even doing great, you know, when you're both a worker, parent, student, wow. Wow. And so these people should not just beat up themselves. It's a journey. And they should just have a little kind of goal. You know, it might not be so ambitious now because again, there's a lot of expenses and cool. If they can, you know, they should still find ways to optimize the expenses. So usually there's some people who go the same way, you know, to your work. So you don't really need to end that bus from point A to like where your work is. You might just join them halfway or whatever, and then, you know, at least save a little there. Or you move closer to work so that this is not so much on you, and maybe find somebody, maybe somebody at your work too, somebody reliable and trustworthy you can rent with, so that again, that is not so, the burden is not so much. But I think they're already doing great already. I mean, they're already moving in the right direction. It's just, at least by the time they're done with their program, at least that will be a little less burden, get a better job, you know, things will look up, you know, things will look up. Just try, you know, the best you can. Don't kill yourself now. You know, it's a journey. I can't even imagine, you know, how they're doing it. It's great, you know, it's a journey.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your empathetic response, Chima. Life can be really, really very tough at times. And when we hear stories like this, we can understand how there are other people who are in our shoes, and then we can learn from them. One thing I can share from my own example is it's always good to keep tweaking. You keep tweaking. If it doesn't work one way, try another way. If it doesn't work one way, try another way. And secondly, I always say this to my friends. If you are in chapter 2, don't compare your chapter 2 with another person's chapter 22. There are people who in this Lagos, they can't enter public transport. They have to drive around wherever they can go. So if my earnings and my lifestyle cannot allow me to drive around, even if I have a car, why can't I sometimes just drop the car and go with the discomfort of using the public transport or a cab just to balance things out? The sacrifice we make today gives us more room for freedom tomorrow. Don't try to be like another person. Everyone's circumstances are unique. All our panelists, they all have different things to say to different questions to show that everyone is unique. So try one thing, try another thing. If it doesn't work, keep trying. Don't just give up. Nigerians don't give up, I know. Africans generally, we don't give up. We have the fighting spirit. And rice is here. Yeah, rice is here. So you don't have to fight all this battle and then be struggling to find how to balance your portfolio, We will take all that stress off your shoulder. And if you're wondering how we do it, just come to our investment club, register for RiseVest, subscribe to our newsletter. We update people who subscribe to our newsletter from time to time, letting them know how this is possible. This is a movement. We don't want to leave anybody behind. We want to educate. We want to enlighten. As at November 2019, I wasn't as enlightened as this. So I want every one of us to believe that even if we don't know as much, we can start today. That change in our attitude, that change in our habits, we start to show in 90 days, in 180 days, and in a year, you will wonder, why haven't I started this all along? So thank you so much. I believe we've taken up, if we stay here, there are going to be more questions, but I promise all of us, we're going to have another one next month, last Saturday of the month. One way to not miss out is join our investment club, follow us on social media, RiseVest on Twitter, on Instagram, turn up the notification, get all this information. It is our duty and responsibility to connect you with the best investment across the world. So have a very great day, everyone, and thanks for coming.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. So,
Thank you, everyone.
Merci.
yeah, bye-bye for now.